and I don't even think I need a costume to build it. Hi everybody, and welcome back to Plastic Models by Regular Dude and part 1 of the Dragon 135th scale Jagdtiger SDKFZ 186 with Porsche production suspension. First of all, before I go any further, I want to throw out a big thanks to Keith Short for giving me this kit to build. Thanks, Keith. You and your large scale, large German armor. Gotta love it. So let's talk a little bit about the kit. It is Dragon kit number 6051 with initial release of 1995. This particular box was released same year, but with new parts, and this is all according to ScaleMates. As for the new parts, couldn't tell you what they were unless they're counting the photo etch and stuff like that. But and it looks like it's had reboxings with new parts up until 2011. Again, wait, maybe a little bit later. Actually, I think it's 2018. Again, this is according to ScaleMates. So, yeah, let's take a look at the actual cardboard. Usual painting of the time on the front, on the side, just different languages talking about what the vehicle is. Barcode, sides have the same stuff. The side of the box has some photos of the actual built kit, and shows a cutaway with partial interior, which is basically, you know, a floor and a trunnion for the main gun, and rudimentary breech and associated parts. Says contains parts to assemble one model of Jagdtiger as seen in these photographs. Paint and glue are not included. Photo etch parts are included. So there you have it. This one is copyright 1995, Dragon Models Limited. So let's go ahead and take a look at the instructions first. I was going to do the sprues first, but I changed my mind. So here's what we got. We have got the instructions. Now these are unusual. Maybe these older Dragon kits were done like this, but this is, if I can get a grip on the flipping paper, it's more of a map fold out type thing instead of a booklet. Information on the vehicle, 6 different languages. Then we go right into caution stuff, ventilated, well ventilated. A legend here for what the symbols mean throughout the instructions, and a list of colors in Gunze Sangyo, which would be Mr. Color, and Aqueous, Hobby Color, and then also Italeri paint numbers, which I find interesting. Not a whole lot of colors going on here because of how much stuff is actually on this kit. Then we get right into construction. Now, down at the bottom here, now, a thing to note is this kit is lacking Zimmerit, and according to all references I've ever seen, all of the Jagdtigers had Zimmerit applied. So, with that in mind, there is notation here, these shaded areas. Shaded area intended for Zimmerit coating. Please make with putty. So, I'll talk about that in a little bit. There will be Zimmerit on here. But anyway, starts with suspension, lower hull, just like almost every armor kit on the planet, so on and so forth down to here. Then we move on to the back plate, again showing where Zimmerit is supposed to be. The exhaust, detail stuff for the back of the rear plate here. Then we move on up to the upper hull with the rear doors. And all of that. So it's kind of nice. It has interior detail on the doors. So you could have the doors open and have somebody like hanging out the back hatch or something, because there's not much to see on the inside as far as detail. Then we get into the rear deck. Side detail, side of the hull details. And it just goes on and on. There's no need in looking at every little bit of this. It does have somewhat detailed gun breech. If you had hatches open with maybe figures in and you could kind of see inside, it would be it would at least have something inside to show. Then we have the upper hull attached to the lower hull, and then we get to the barrel. Now that is an interesting thing, and again I'll point that out when we get to the sprues themselves. But yeah, so we got all this here, attachment of the fenders, side skirts, and then on the back we have a sprue map here. And the nice thing about the sprue map is it shows what parts are not used on this particular kit. So that's kind of nice, and there's not many. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 parts of plastic and 2 of photo etch that are not used. Now the nice thing is sometimes Dragon kits can have a junk ton of extra parts, especially if it's a later release where they've modified it or making a different, you know, version of the same vehicle or whatever, and you can just end up with whole almost entire sprues except for a few parts being waste. This is not the case with this one. So anyway, that is the instructions. Next up we have a marking and painting guide. So we've got number 1, which is Panzerjäger Abteilung 653, 1945, vehicle number 102. And that is solid Dunkelgelb. Then you have Panzerjäger Abteilung 653, 1945, which is a 3-tone camouflage, number 314. I'm doing neither of those. I'm going to be doing an unnumbered Dunkelgelb version. So, which is good because the kit didn't come with decals. There's no decals in the box. However, I have extra crosses, so no big deal. Yeah, but that's all the decals are, just cross and a number. Cross or number on both sides. And, well, crosses on the back as well. So I'll need 4 of them. But that's no big deal because I've got plenty of spares. So, that's it for the paperwork. Let's start looking at plastic. First up, we've got the lower hull, which is very nice. And I kind of like that these things are glued on here, or are molded on. Sometimes, you know, they come as separate parts, which is not really that big a deal. But it's kind of nice that these are molded on because suspension is going to cover the whole thing anyway. But yeah, that looks good. It's got a bit of texture to it, but it's going to be underneath, so it doesn't really matter. And again, there's going to be Zimmerit, so the texture on here doesn't really matter either. It does have detail fully underneath, which is kind of groovy. It's nice and straight, doesn't seem to be warped. But a nice heavy bit of plastic right there, but it looks good. So that's the hull. All right, first we have 2 Sprue A, and that has the final drive cover here, drive sprocket, and the idler wheels. Detail looks very nice. In its infuriating fashion. The sprue gates are between the teeth, which that just drives me insane. But It's okay because it's pretty wide and should be able to clean that up fairly easily. But detail looks good, no flash, typical Dragon stuff. Ejector pin marks, but they're on the inside where you're not going to see them, so there's no sense in filling those up or being too stressed about them. All right, so anyway, there's 2 sprue A's. Then we got 2 sprue B's. And we got some toe shackles here. Those look like hold down clamps there. Periscopes. Exhaust parts here and here. C-type tow hooks. This would be for the idler. Various hooks. These here would be the spare track hooks to hang them on the side of the vehicle. Blah, blah, blah. So anyway, molding all looks good. A little bit of flash right there on this. I think that's a ventilation cover, I think. But it might not be. Nope, that's for the back of the engine deck. But all looks good. Sprue B, 2 of those. Then we have sprue C, which is the upper hull, the rear plate, fenders, the rear of the oh no, that's the that's the rear back here for the rear access. Front of the hull where the final drives are. Engine access hatch here. Armored exhaust covers, hatches, fire extinguisher jack, a little bit of sink mark in the jack right there. Tools, bolt cutters, tanker bar here. Various and sundry small parts. All looks good. A little bit of flash here and there, but nothing too serious. Kind of bowed right there, but once it's glued into place, it shouldn't be a problem. Got a little bit of a push in right there. It's kind of bowed out here and pushed in right there, but it shouldn't be a big deal. But that is sprue C. And here's sprue D. So we have the front of the casemate and the mantlet, whatever you call it, where the gun comes out, the part that covers over that. Travel lock. The back hatches for the back of the casemate. More gun mount stuff, more tools, hatch, other small parts. Now, here's something that's interesting. According to the instructions, this right here is where a 2-piece plastic barrel should be. However, as you can see, there ain't none here, which is weird. But hey, it's okay, because I have a solution. Sprue E, which is the interior floor where the trunnion is for the main gun, which is this right here, and then the small parts to kind of detail it up a little bit, and an MG42. It looks like that is not actually used on this kit. So again, all looks pretty good, and this is all interior stuff, so even if there were flash, it wouldn't be that big a deal. Sprue E. And then we have 2 sprue H, which is the Porsche suspension parts. The wheels, all of the suspension components. And there are 2 sprues like this. Again, detail looks good. Some of the bolt detail could be considered soft, I guess, but for 1995 standards, I'm sure it was like really cutting edge stuff, but it all looks good. I don't think not too many people should complain about it, I wouldn't think. but looks good. Anyway, 2 of these sprues. Next up, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sprue F. And that is the tracks. And as you can see, there is a junk ton of parts. So you have the main track pad part that goes on the inside, these little teeny tiny parts here, some is blah blah blah, and yeah. Oh, and there are some really dandy ejector pin marks right here and here. I'm not going to open this bag up because I'm not using these tracks, but that would just be a horrendous amount of cleanup and stuff, but I'm not using them. So let's jump up to the photo etch parts. Got some little teeny tiny parts there, and then we've got these screens, and this looks like the steel type of stuff, and man, that stuff, you know, it's okay, but oh, it is just not fun to work with, especially on little tiny parts like that, because it's so rigid. But it'll be okay. It'll be fine. I'm not going to weep. But the screens look really good. So, yeah. That little round deal there, and then that part there are not used on this particular kit. So, anyway, that's photo etch. So, that is everything that comes in the box. Alright, so let's get back to the barrel situation. I got an Aber barrel for the kit, and which I would have done anyway, because even though I've used two-piece barrels before and can work with them, I'd rather not. So I got this Aber barrel, which is really nice. It's got some looks like rifling that's pretty close to scale, so that will be nice. So I got that. Then for the track, since I don't feel like cutting up a million of them, I got the T-Rex Jagdtiger Tarks for Porsche suspension. And here's why: no cleanup, ready to assemble, workable links, and no glue required. Sweet. There's 220 links in here. From what I've read and my experience with the one set of T-Rex tracks I've used, there are extras, so I can use those for the hull if I want to, the spare tracks, and it'll be a lot better than trying to cut up those other ones. Those others are just horrendous. But we will see if no glue is required, because the track pins, connector pins on the other tracks that I used, which were Panzer II tracks, most of the pins were friction fit, but some of them just would fall out, so I ended up having to use super glue to tack them into place. We'll see if it's the same on these, but these should be pretty nice. Very easy to use, the ones I use already, so I think these will be quite a nice addition. And last for the parts, as I mentioned, Jagdtigers had Zimmerit. So fortunately, my friend Keith, the one that gave me the kit to begin with, had this Cavalier Zimmerit set. This company is no longer in production, but it's really nice because it's resin. So it's just a matter of gluing it down really good, making sure that it's nice and flat, flush. But it does have on some molded details. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's in the bag here. Okay, so we have this primary piece here. It's got some instructions that shows what not to apply, what to apply, etc. Now this is specifically for Dragon Kit number 6050 and 6051. 6050, I believe, is the Henschel suspension, which is the only difference between the two kits. So should be good to go. But this is resin and it's ultra thin, nice and flexible, so don't really have to worry about anything cracking or breaking apart. But it will be crucial that I get this glued down really flat. So there'll be some test fitting and stuff like that. Now here's something that I like about this stuff. Again, I've never used it before, so I may change my mind later. But it looks pretty cool because these parts here, instead of using the kit parts and gluing them on, these are just molded right in place. So they just fit right on the kit. Same with these mounting points for the side skirts and all of that. So yeah, it looks really good. But it is going to be a matter, I'm going to have to make sure that I get that stuff glued down super flat because it is kind of a little bit wavy. Don't know if you can see it. And hopefully the parts will fit just right. If not, I'll have a plan B. But anyway, that's that part of it. Now also it comes with this bag of stuff. So we've got the ball mount cover there with the Zimmerit on it. We've got some other small parts, some fender parts here, which again, I'm not using these fenders because I'm doing a fenderless vehicle. So really the only thing I'm going to be using out of this bag is this armored ball mount here. Armored ball machine gun mount thing. But see, it's already got it on there. It's not a matter of getting a part that's got wedges cut out of it that you have to shape around it and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of nice as well. But it will be interesting to see how this works because I've heard lots of stuff about Cavalier products, but I've never used them, and this will be my opportunity. And if I like it enough, if I ever need stuff in the future, I may spend a little extra time to look various places to see if I can find it. I also forgot, real quick, like this is the fender kit for it, again, that I'm not using, but it's a nice set, but not being used. As I said, I do have backup in case the Cavalier Zimmerit for some reason is not going to work. I have a backup plan, and that is the Edward Zimmerit Jagdtiger for Dragon Kit. This is what I was going to use originally, but Keith came to the rescue with that that other stuff. So we'll see what happens. I really want to use the Cavalier, but we'll see how it fits. So anyway, one way or another, I have Zimmerit. So there you have it. That is the end of part 1 of the Dragon 1/35 scale Jagdtiger SDKFZ 186 Porsche production type. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you'll follow along with the build, and you might think about hitting the subscribe button, maybe the notifications, thumbs up, all that cool stuff, and follow along and offer up any information you might have on this kit if you have built it yourself. And just hit me at anything I might need to know. But anyway, that is it for now. As always, thanks for watching Plastic Models by a Regular Dude, and I will see you all later.